What just happened might go down as one of the most shocking economic moves in modern US history, or global history even. President Trump announced reciprocal tariffs on 185 countries all at once, and the markets weren't ready. In less than 15 minutes, $2 trillion was wiped from US markets. Gold exploded, Bitcoin spiked, then nuked. NASDAQ futures flipped, and Wall Street is now facing the biggest trade shock since World War II. This isn't just a headline. This is the beginning of a new era. Maybe the golden era, maybe much worse. But in today's show, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to break it all down. If you guys are excited for that, do me a favor, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe because these videos are jam-packed with good information that you need to know to understand the entire financial market, mostly on the crypto side, and politics as it relates to crypto and our bags. In today's show, ladies and gentlemen, I will be breaking down what Trump actually announced and why it's more extreme than you think, how markets reacted in real time, including Bitcoin's surprise moves, and why this could mark the beginning of a new monetary order with crypto at the center. So everybody buckle up because this changes everything. At first, it didn't sound too crazy. Trump announced a 10% baseline tariff on all imports. Markets took it in stride. Bitcoin jumped from 86,000 to 88,500 in just 4 minutes. But then Trump pulled out a poster, yes, a poster, and started listing countries one by one, explaining that it wasn't just a blanket 10% tariff, it was that plus a reciprocal tariff equal to half of what each country charges the US. I thought that was generous, actually. So if a country charges the US 60% on certain goods, the US would hit back with a 10% baseline, plus 30% more. Half of what they charge the US, that's a total of 40%. Now, they weren't all like this. Some of them were tit for tat, like for like, but this is generally how the formula went. So here are some of the examples, some of the tariffs. China, 34%. Vietnam, 46%. Japan, 24%. The EU, 20%. This is not just political theater. This is structural, and the markets knew it. Within minutes, NASDAQ futures flipped from plus 400, which was looking at a bullish outcome, to negative 500 points. S&P futures entered a correction, a 10% drop from recent highs. Oof. Bitcoin retraced sharply from 88,000 to 84,000. And gold broke through $3,200 an ounce, hitting a brand new all-time high. This was the fastest tariff-induced market reversal in history, and it's not over. Let's zoom out. With this move, the US average tariff rate just hit levels not seen since World War II. Think about that. We are now entering a global trade war by design. Trump said these tariffs will remain in place until the US trade deficit is fixed, which he calls a national security threat. It all begins on April 5th. That's when the 10% baseline tariffs go into effect. But the real punch lands on April 9th as the reciprocal tariffs start to roll out, country by country. Trump officials say the new tariffs will generate $600 billion a year in revenue. But rightfully so, some analysts are skeptical. They estimate the tariffs could cut GDP by 1.5% and expect only a fraction of that $600 billion in revenue to materialize. But that's just a start, because alongside these tariffs, Trump is unleashing a whole new set of fiscal moves. And he also announced massive tax cuts. Okay, like for me, I like this, right? So let me just sidestep this for a second. So for me, I like this, right? Let's create tariffs on all imported things. I have a choice as a consumer to go and buy things that I want to, right? And I can either buy domestically made things, or imported things. So whatever I feel like. Now maybe the imported things might be more expensive now than they were before, but now you still have a choice what you want to buy. But what I think is the most interesting is that I get to keep more of the money I make because we're looking at massive tax cuts. So I start out with more money. And then if your consumerism drives you to buy a bunch of stuff, okay, some of those imported things might be more expensive. But if you are not buying a bunch of stuff that's imported, then you get to keep more of your money. For me, I think that's bullish. I really like it because it sounds like it, from what I've gathered so far, is it's gonna be massive tax cuts. We'll see. But anyway, they're also promising to protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. So what does this look like? Well, you've got higher tariffs, which are basically taxes on imported goods. That means prices go up, and either businesses or consumers end up footing the bill. That's what we just talked about. Sure, it raises government revenue, but it also risks stoking inflation and disrupting supply chains. At the same time, Trump's cutting income taxes, like we just talked about. This kind of tug of war a little bit, teeter-totter. That sounds great for take-home pay, but unless the economy booms, it also means less money coming into the government. And finally, spending stays high. No cuts to major programs and no trimming the fat. So the question is, what does this all mean? It's a bold combo. Taxing imports, cutting income taxes, and still spending like before. This could light up the economy or blow a hole through it. Trump's announcement came with a list of strategic exemptions. For now, Canada and Mexico are off the hook. No reciprocal tariffs on either. But this was done through negotiation, right? And I think that's the plan for everything else. We'll get into that. Certain sectors were spared too. Semiconductors, copper, lumber, and pharmaceuticals were all excluded from the new tariffs. This isn't just about punishing foreign competitors, it's also about managing supply chains and protecting domestic priorities. So why exempt chips and copper? It's simple. We're in the middle of an AI arms race, obviously, and those materials are critical to high-tech manufacturing. And pharma, well, just days ago, Trump was threatening to target drug companies, but ultimately it got carved out. Why? Well, because healthcare inflation is political suicide. No one wants to be blamed for medicine getting even more expensive. Politics or not politics, you're gonna be a politician, right? And the bottom line is, this isn't chaos, it's chess. Strategic, targeted, and aimed at reshaping the global economy. And guess what? Some players are already responding. That was fast. It's less than a day. Now, here's where it gets wild. Even before the tariffs were officially announced, some of the world's biggest companies were already making their move. And the numbers are staggering. NVIDIA is pouring hundreds of billions of dollars into US-based electronics manufacturing. SoftBank, not to be outdone, has pledged a mind-blowing $1 trillion to build AI-powered robot factories across America. What? How does SoftBank have $1 trillion? I don't even know how that's possible. Johnson & Johnson is scaling up too, committing $55 billion to boost domestic production. Then there's TSMC, the crown jewel of semiconductor manufacturing, the most precious thing, the only thing protecting Taiwan from a massive Chinese invasion. They are investing $100 billion into new chip factories on US territory. And Hyundai, well, they've rolled out a $21 billion plan covering everything from electric vehicles to robotics and steel, all made in America. This isn't just a trend, it's a full-blown economic realignment. Tariffs are no longer just a threat, they're a lever, a deliberate strategy to bring production back home and regain control of critical supply chains. Like it or not, capital is moving. And when capital moves this quickly, it doesn't stop at factories and payrolls. It hits currencies, it hits commodities, and it hits crypto too. Let's talk for a second about gold. It hit $3,200 an ounce, pushing its total market cap to 21 trillion. That's not just hype, that's real money moving. Capital flowing into hard assets, into safety. And Bitcoin, well, BlackRock's CEO, good old Larry Fink, just said the quiet part out loud. If the US can't get its debt under control, Bitcoin could replace the US dollar. Let that sink in for a second. The head of the world's largest asset manager just announced Bitcoin as a serious contender to the US dollar dominance. And institutions are acting accordingly. Fidelity is now offering Bitcoin IRAs, letting Americans hold Bitcoin tax-free or tax-deferred. Metaplanet, think of them as Japan's MicroStrategy, just added another 160 Bitcoin to their balance sheet. And on April 5th, the US Treasury is set to disclose all of its crypto holdings, in line with Trump's new directive. And it's not just Bitcoin. DTCC, the clearinghouse that handles nearly every trade in the US, is rolling out a tokenized collateral platform. Yes, Wall Street is going blockchain, ladies and gentlemen. So what does all of this tell us? The system is shifting, not in loud speeches or breaking news, but with quiet, powerful moves behind the curtain. Gold is rising, Bitcoin is legitimizing, and the dollar, well, it's no longer the only game in town. All right, before we get into what's coming next, here's a quick message from today's sponsor. Hey guys, real talk. If you're trying to make money in crypto and still doing it the old school way, jumping between apps, copy pasting contracts, and watching the chart pump while you're still setting up your trade, you're doing it the wrong way. Because in crypto, speed is profit, and Sigma gives you that speed. It's the #1 DEX trading and sniping bot, built directly in a Telegram, fast, secure, battle-tested, trusted by the smartest money in the room. With Sigma, you can snipe tokens early, automate trades, copy top wallets, track your gain across 10 wallets. It works across all the top chains: ETH, Base, BSC, and yep, Solana's right around the corner. Already pushing $10 million in trades daily. So if you're done fumbling around and want to trade like a pro, click my affiliate link in the description. It supports the channel, and more importantly, it gives you the edge when every second counts. Real quick, let's talk about security. In crypto, scams are everywhere. And as this bull run heats up, so do the scammers. You've worked hard building your wealth and your portfolio. Don't let one click drain your wallet. NordVPN is your first line of defense. It hides your IP, encrypts your data, and keeps you one step ahead of the bad guys. And here's a pro tip. You can save hundreds of dollars or maybe even thousands on hotels, flights, and car rentals just by changing your virtual location with NordVPN. I just learned this a couple weeks ago. I talked about it in my video. I saved over $300 on my last trip. Most people don't even realize they're being overcharged just because where they live. This isn't a glitch. This is how the website works. With NordVPN, you see the cheapest prices, not just the ones meant for your country. You see, guys, expensive, cheap, just by where your location is. Real savings in just a few clicks. So do yourself a favor, protect your portfolio, unlock the full web, and save while you're at it. Click my affiliate link in the description below and get up to 4 months free and save over 70%. And guys, it costs less than a cup of coffee every single month. This is a no-brainer. If you value your privacy, if you value your wealth, if you value the free internet, it's a no-brainer. Don't wait for a hack and learn the hard way. Trust me, it's happened to me and too many people I know. That's why I was proud to partner with Nord. I use it every day. So use Nord, stay private, stay protected, and stay ahead. Now that you're equipped, let's talk about what the market's really reacting to and where this could all go next. Liberation Day. Liberation Day. That's what they're calling it now. But don't let the name fool you. This wasn't some mild policy pivot. It was a seismic shock to the global economy. The idea that these tariffs might be moderate, that's officially dead. 185 countries were just hit. full-scale reset of global trade. And now, fundamentals are taking a back seat. The market is being driven by sentiment, fear, uncertainty, and anticipation. It's not about what actually is happening. It's about what traders think might happen next. Market participants are now shifting capital aggressively, not based on data, but on narratives and defensive strategies. They're rotating into safe havens, hedging against tail risks, trying to be one step ahead of the next headline. And when the system becomes this reactive, you get volatility, big swings, sharp reversals, and rapid shifts in market direction. So you ask yourself, what happens when global trust and the US dollar start cracking like cheap drywall? What happens when trillions of dollars desperately seek refuge in gold and Bitcoin and other hard assets? What happens when Bitcoin moves from speculative play to an essential lifeboat? That's the world we're stepping into, and we'll be right here to break it down every step of the way. Look, if there's one thing markets absolutely hate, you guys know it, tell me, say it out loud. Say it out loud. You know this. It's uncertainty. We're not out of the fog yet, but Trump, well, he just fired a flare into the sky. Now, the path forward is a whole lot clearer. He threw down the gauntlet, reciprocal tariffs, trade war threats, economic shockwaves. But remember, Trump isn't just playing checkers here. He's the grandmaster of negotiation, the art of the deal, baby. And anyone who knows deal making knows you start aggressive and then you slowly ease off the gas. Each headline from here forward, every concession, every negotiation becomes rocket fuel for the markets, crypto included. So sure, today felt chaotic, but chaos creates opportunity. And while everyone else panics, you're now positioned to see clearly. This might not be the final chapter of the old world order, but it's the opening scene of whatever's coming next. So my friends, stay sharp, stay curious, and above all, stay free. If this helped you see through the noise, do me a massive solid and hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to get ahead of what's coming next, because trust me, they're gonna thank you. Until next time, I'm Chasse. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one.